All right. Welcome, everyone, to this Communities for Future session, where we have an opportunity to hear different young people and their voices on sustainability, climate change, and community issues, mostly around Europe. Some of them are connected more directly to the Equitable network, like Merushe and Riccardo, and others are doing their own environmental and activism work, Yumna and Selma. I'm so happy all four of you can join us for the session today, as well as everyone else. I'm looking forward to an interesting conversation and dialogue on this topic. And I'm just gonna share my screen for a moment here for the slides as well. Here we go. All right. Yeah, so this is our theme and the speakers for today's session. And some of you are more familiar with Equilis, but I'll just briefly say that we're a European network for community-led initiatives in climate change and sustainability, with around 46 members in different European countries. And we do a lot of network weaving, learning, collaboration, advocacy work, and really try to bring together all those initiatives for a greater movement and impact within Europe. And the other thing that I just want to highlight, and this is something we've picked up from the European Year of Youth, which is this year, and there's a lot of different activities organized as well by the European Union, and we wanted to kind of join that in really giving a platform to young people and their voices, whether they're engaged in climate, environmental, or social movements, working on regreening the land, building communities, and celebrate and support these young leaders and citizens through also this session and the conversations and learning and exchange that we can do together. And for the session today, we're now in the section of just doing a bit of introductions and welcome. There'll be a short check-in with the group, and then a few kind of short activities to just connect with each other. Then there's going to be sharing from each one of our speakers, and then followed up by breakout groups to go just deeper into the conversation and the questions with the speakers together and the participants. And then we'll wrap up with a checkout and kind of gratitudes and closings. So that's the kind of rough overview for the session. And for now, I'd like you to write in the chat your name, country, the organizational project you're involved, kind of just as a way to say hello. And I'm going to stop also the screen share so we can see each other while we do that. And I'll also post a link to a little Menti poll where we can explore a few questions further. So we have a few more people joining. Okay, so welcome for everyone joining us now. If you could say hi in the chat, you can also make sure you share your name, country, a main organization or network that you're affiliated with. And if you go on the link that I've posted, just in case I repost it again here, you'll be able to also submit your response to two kind of more thematic questions for a check-in. So one is, why are you here today in this call? Any intentions that you're coming with? And you're able to submit a few different kind of words or short phrases for that. And as a second question, I'm curious to hear and kind of collect what is an environmental or social issue that you really deeply care about? So those are the two questions for our check-in. Great to see your check-ins in the chat. And I'll give you another moment for the mentee, and then we can look at the results together. Okay, another moment to share in the mentee. 1 minute. Sure, Sarah, we'll be here. All right, I'm going to share my screen so we can look at this together. So this is, and it's still in motion. So why are you here today in this call? Different things around bridging, to learn, to support. A lot of learning and bridging, to connect, to be inspired, to listen to youth based on interest. Yeah, more sharing, connection, and empathy. All right. Yeah, I see a lot around learning, bridging, and connecting. I guess these kind of really stand out as 3 key intentions and motivations for being here on the call today. So that's great. And let's see for the second question. All right. So key issues that people deeply care about, the whole challenge of turning things around so that we can live well within planetary boundaries. Extractivism, social division, rivers and waters, poverty, and also indigenous wisdom and solidarity. Great. This looks quite diverse. Happy that we're kind of present and aware to different key issues that are part of our experience as humanity in these times. And yeah, curious how that can also inform and shape part of our conversations. All right. Yeah, so this is good for a bit of a check-in. And as a next piece, I want to give you all an opportunity following up on one of the intentions to connect, to connect with each other. So I'm actually going to send you off into breakout groups. Just going to make sure that everybody's covered, but I think that's all set. And we're basically going to have short breakout groups. So it's just a few minutes each. So about 2 minutes each to share, 4 minutes together. And I'm going to give you a question for each round. And we're going to do 3 rounds. You get a chance to connect to different people. Don't spend a lot of time just introducing yourself, but really, I think there's an opportunity to connect more through these questions. And I'm also gonna post them in the chat, and we're just gonna kind of go in these rounds. All right. So the first question is around, what do you do? You know, this could be your professional work, this could be your other kind of heart-based projects and engagement. So whatever that means to you, what do you do? What do you spend a lot of time with every day? And why does it matter to you? So this will be the first round to kind of connect more. All right, see you in a few minutes. All right, so welcome back. I'm just gonna reshuffle a little bit who's meeting who, and we have some new people also that joined us for the second round. Let me also post yet a question and just move you about a bit, and then we'll dive back in. All right, so it's going to be another 2 minutes each for the second question. All right, so we're going to do another pair and one more round.
Laura, what's the question for this third round?
Yes, I'm posting it now. So somebody dropped off. Let's see. All right. Off we go again. All right. Welcome back, everyone. How was that? Good time to connect? Yes, I hope so. It was great to just have that feeling of like shuffling you around and different conversations happening at the same time. I hope you had a good opportunity to meet new people that you didn't know. If you want, share something in the chat. If something stands out for you, inspired you, touched you just from this little activity, you could write a sentence or so in the chat so we can see that. And also welcome to Dursi. He joined later on as another participant. So I'm happy for that. Yeah, great. And otherwise, I'll go back for a moment to the slides. Happy birthday, yes. Okay, great. And I just want to appreciate also the different countries and also ages that come here together. And we also saw from the check-in questions a few different interests about kind of main environmental and social issues. Jersey also said he's working on environmental things and bake lines and transport. So I think we're going to have an interesting discussion time in the breakouts. All right, just going to go to the screen sharing for a moment here. All right, so you can take a moment if you want to get a bit of a sense of the four kind of guest speakers that we invited here: Yumna, Riccardo, Selma, and Merushe. And they will share a bit more about the project, so don't worry too much about reading, but if you want, here's a bit of a kind of short summary for each one of them. And as I've mentioned before, Riccardo and Merushe are both more directly involved with equities through member organizations, the Italian Eco-Village Network for Riccardo, and then also PBN Albania. And then Selma and Yumna, I had the opportunity to connect to through the Transition Network and also through the environmental youth network. So that's been also great to kind of expand a bit our circles and have an opportunity to be in conversation with all four of them. And for their sharing, I'm gonna they're gonna each have a few minutes time to speak, and really consider this a teaser and hopefully a good starting point to then go into deeper dialogue during the breakout sessions. So if you have any questions, you might want to take note of those and ask them in the breakout session afterwards. But I'm going to invite them to share around their vision for a positive future that's kind of really pulling them forward and what they're doing in the world. Also how they are practically, what they're practically doing to bring their vision more into reality, and also kind of share how they're organizing together with others or in some sort of community setting to collaborate and to affect more wider social or systemic change. And if something really sparks during this time for you, as the audience, feel also free at any moment to just write something in the chat. This can be a way to kind of have interaction, even though it's for now the four of them sharing. And as I said, and afterwards we'll just go into breakout sessions for deeper dialogue. Right. So I'm going to put on my timer just to keep us a bit on track for the minutes. And can I invite you, Yumna, to start us off?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Yumna. I'm 17 and I'm from Birmingham in the UK. And I think a lot of my activism work started, I actually introduced by saying how I got involved in this first. So I was doing a project with a transition network called, it was just a 10-day festival, and then I was invited to sort of co-host and be a facilitator for that. And through that, we did a bunch of different sessions. It was 30 sessions plus within 10 days. It was really heavy. It was crammed. It was a lot of different sessions about storytelling, community activist work, some random sessions on education, permaculture, food justice. There was a lot of different sessions around a lot of different social justice issues, and I got involved with that, and it was brilliant just getting involved with different people and hearing from them. And that was with the Transition Network, and then I somehow got into this, which is pretty cool. But a lot of the work that I do stem from my own lived experience, being in Birmingham with a lack of opportunities for young people. I noticed that young people don't get the chance to really platform their voices, especially when it comes to the education system and the food system. So I got heavily involved in that. And pretty much just campaigning for justice in schools. So going out and speaking to different schools and different youth organizations, and basically lobbying government for change in trying to make sure that our education system includes more things about climate justice, because that's one thing that I'm really passionate about, is how can we implement more climate education in our schools across the curriculum, because what you find is that a lot of climate education is just siloed into certain subjects such as geography or some in science, and it's not really broad climate education within our schools. So campaigning to change that in our schools to make sure that climate education is within every single subject in our schools, and young people actually get the skills and the tools and the resources that they need to actually not feel powerless, and actually feel empowered and feel like they have agency to create change. And also making sure that our schools are more connected to the environment and to nature itself, because you often find that schools are often disconnected from nature, and just working to make sure that young people are well aware of that and they're recognizing the impact that that has had on things like their mental health, and the way that they receive their education, is something that I'm also working towards. Within the food activism of food sovereignty side, I work with an organization called Bite Back 2030. It's mainly a UK organization that works to halve childhood obesity rates by 2030 through 3 different ways: healthy streets, healthy schools, and healthy planet. So within healthy streets, it's trying to think about the impacts of stuff like junk food advertising. So within Birmingham right now, I'm working on sort of ending junk food advertising on things like public transport, and council sites, and buildings within the city, because junk food advertising actually has a really big impact on how young people interact with food, and the way that they, you know, their choices that they make and the options that are available to them actually within food. So junk food advertising is one thing, but also free school meals. In the UK, over the past 2 years, especially within the pandemic, there's been quite a lot of talk about trying to find a permanent solution to free school meals, because there's a criteria for children in the UK to get you know, a healthy food in their healthy meal whilst they're at school, but that criteria is actually so narrow, and a lot of children who are in poverty miss out on getting healthy food in their schools. And so just trying to expand that eligibility criteria and make sure that more young people have access to healthy food where they live, no matter where they live and no matter their postcode. So that's another thing that I'm doing in terms of trying to lobby government on that. And I'm quite passionate about making sure that every single young person has access to that no matter where they live. And also within the, trying to create a more resilient and more fairer food system is actually making sure that all people that interact with food, because food is such a versatile and universal thing. It's like everyone needs food to survive, so it's like, how can we make sure that every stakeholder within the food system actually engages with food, and their opinions and their views are heard within the food system, to create a more healthier food system that is robust and that is sustainable and that is environmentally friendly. So that's me. I think my time's up.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. It's been great to connect, and I love your voice on the food system and poverty as an issue, and education and the opportunity for this is amazing. Thank you so much. Mara, can I invite you to continue?
Hello, everyone. Hello, Nora. Thank you for having me. And I feel flattered to have been invited to share, let's say, my daily work and the work of my of the NGO I work with. I would like to share the work I do, but also to share a bit on the questions posed to us about what is, let's say, my vision of a positive Europe. First of all, I would like to start with the concept of Europe. And to clarify it a bit, because when people speak about Europe, we speak just about European Union, which is like 2 different things. And I would like to stress here that I'm coming from Albania, which is part of Europe, like the continent. So about the positive future, what is my vision about a positive future in Europe? I would say it's a greener Europe, first of all, a Europe which like it's green, it uses less and less meat, which is, let's say, it's heading back to the earth, to the soil, to the villages, because there is so much concentrations the big cities, into these really lofty dwellings, you know, with so many stores, which when I first came to Tirana, although I can't compare Tirana with Berlin or I don't know, Rome and London and other capitals of Europe, but I was somehow petrified by all these lofty buildings, you know, compared to my village and those bungalows we have in the villages here in Albania. So I would say Europe, which is more, so it's going back. Actually, it's not going back to, I don't know, to stone ages, but appreciates earth, soil, you know, and the greenery, like the landscape. What I'm doing to bring this into my reality, of course, like we work in a grassroots level when it comes to, let's say, to environment and environmental issues, climate change, and so on and so forth. So personally, on personal levels, I try to get involved in as many initiatives that let's say talk about climate change, speak about environment protection, and so on and so forth. But on the level of the NGO, we are like organizing workshops with children in outskirts of Tirana, talking to them about environment, talking to them about climate change, and building with them, let's say, gardens based on permaculture principles. Although, unfortunately, when the pandemic broke out, we stopped doing this, but hopefully this year we will go back there, because when you asked about where, like, do you feel this sense of community, I will also thinking about the schools, but I forgot to mention it, because yeah, it's an amazing feeling when you go there, you know, and you speak to children and you see them always up for whatever ideas you would like to implement together with them, you know. So that's really amazing, and especially when it comes to such initiatives, you know, like creating or putting up gardens, although they are small grassroots initiatives, but I think they have a huge impact on the life of those children. And also I try, you know, to educate people around me, you know, how to be more cautious about environment, how to protect it, you know, and how not to throw litters or trashes everywhere, but to throw them on the proper place, you know, on the trash bins. And I think this is this also like touched a bit on the third question: how are we organizing together in the community? So these are basically, let's say, those initiatives we are organizing on, but also personally and with the support of my organization, I have taken the initiative to organize some workshops about climate change and environmental protection on different cities in Albania, since like NGOs are concentrated mostly on the capital. The rest of the country remains uncovered by the activist work, and especially work with youngsters in such topics. So yeah, and I'm looking forward to conducting these workshops, and yeah, to bright the young minds, you know, on such topics.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's great to hear, and again, it's beautiful to hear your engagement both in the more urban areas and rural, and bringing it to. I know also you work with municipalities, with volunteers, but then also really with children in schools, and bringing them in a more experiential way, gardening and climate issues. Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, that's true, but I didn't want to go to that part, you know, of volunteering of municipalities, because it's another whole world, you know. I just wanted to keep it, yes, let's say, short, and yeah,
perfect.
The topic we are discussing today. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Ricky, would you continue and take us to Italy and your work there?
Hi everyone, my name is Riccardo, and thank you for having me. So what I would like to share with you today is about my work with a project called Welcome Giovani. But before I get there, I would like to step back a second and say that I've married the eco-village lifestyle many years ago. I got an opportunity to visit and live in different ones and be part through Gen and the youth branch of Gen, which is called Next Gen, into a lot of different projects, some touching the topics that I've heard from the speakers so far. But I felt I needed to establish some roots in a place, and I ended up in a community that I used to go to a summer camp as a kid, which is called the Community of Living Ethics. And the focus here is inner work, actually. It's a community that teaches psychosynthesis, which is a form of spiritual psychology. And it was in need of a generational turnover. So with the excuse of a generational turnover, we started this project called Welcome Giovani that ended up showing to be much more than that and having ripple effects on the impact level that we didn't consider at the beginning. So the way it works is that we want to focus on working on people so that they can learn about themselves much more, see all the different parts of their inner system and establish ethical relationships with all of the inner parts they have. And the more they learn and own themselves, the more they can transform themselves. And the way we do it is by hosting 8 people between the age of 22 and 32 for a minimum of 6 months. They need to contribute financially to be here, so it's a choice they need to make thinking about it. And they have 2 kinds of trainings. One is about psychosynthesis, which allows them in a group setting to learn about themselves through different tools that the community provides. And that's 1 seminar a month for 6 months. And then they do permaculture and organic regenerative agriculture seminars. And that's 4 seminars of theory and around 20 hours a month of practice, plus a lot of more hours in the vegetable garden and olive tree plantations they do without the training element. And this allows, and they live together for 6 months in a big house where they have to self-manage the meals and the rhythms and all the meetings that I find other people from the community and I put them in a room with them to learn about what they do. And what this has brought up is is individuals who, when they leave, they feel so changed that they enter the world with a different mindset and they establish more ethical relationships outside with everybody, but not just people, with themselves, with people, with all the activities, with their political choices, with their economical choices. And it's sort of like a switch has happened in their mind. So we work on helping people to find the more right attitude for them so that they can be change makers in the world, and they can apply it in whatever issue or stance they feel calls them the most. And I've been trying to promote this model with the other eco-villages in Italy. I work with the Rive, the Italian eco-village network. I'm part of the council there, and I'm trying to support the emergence of different youth programs in Italy connected to our model. And the last development that I can share before I think my time is over is that we are about to start a social eco-entrepreneurship cycle of seminars for these people, for these 8, and which is going to be 4 modules. And at the end, there's going to be the possibility of incubating 1 idea, if it emerges from the group, to receive also some seed funding, if it's chosen to be connected with the community, because this is also going to support the community in the next phase of life. It's a 40-year-old community, so we need some change.
Thank you. Great to hear. Again, if there's a kind of insight or sharing that's coming up while you listen to people, feel free to put that in the chat for everyone to see and kind of interact. And yeah, otherwise I'll hand it over to Selma and invite you to also share from your perspective and your engagement. Let's see, she has her video off. Maybe it takes a minute.
Sorry, there was something urgent I had to do. All right, so first of all, I apologize for that. And thank you so much again for the invitation and for just calling out the activists and the change makers to take part in here and just spit it out, as I always say. So I would love to kick this out by saying that, by talking a little bit about my journey and how I started it. Well, my journey started as a climate activist, a student who was a little bit more curious about what is happening in the world, the injustice that made so many people who are barely contributing to this global concern, climate change, be the most affected by this concern. I started with the Kids Rights Changemakers Foundation in Netherlands, who actually supported me in my first ever project that when I was a very young climate activist. I started with a project called Be the Change event, which was a 5 days event, where we talked about different SDGs, including SDG 13. And we had a chance to to introduce youth to what type of actions they can take, what type of initiatives they can launch. We encourage them to go for individual actions and just embrace the fact that, yes, we are a generation that is facing this. It's not our fault, but we have to contribute to ending it. So we accepted the fact, and this ugly fact, and we encouraged the others to just face it by actions and by speaking out and by being the voice of the unheard ones. And that was at a very young age, which is something that I'm really proud to say in here. And then having great outcomes out of this made me realize that this is something important that we need to address, and people really showing interest. And I remember after this event, people were emailing us all time, how can we start initiatives? How can we start an NGO? What are the policies? So there was interest. We had impact on them, and we have seen people being interested, and we have seen people acting after. So whatever this knowledge we brought into this event that was virtual, people have the chance to know more and turn this into implemented actions, which is of course the aim of every single project or workshop we build, is to encourage people to implement actions. And then I decided to take this to the next level by founding my own NGO, which is Together for Blue and Green. And I had the chance also to be funded by a European embassy. And I had the chance to do a lot of things. And one of them was having a series of events in universities where we introduced students and youth to the importance of taking actions. What are the common movements in the world? How can we start one in our country? What is required from us? Why we are worried? Why now? So we answered so many questions through these series of events that were offline in universities. And the good thing is that professors and I would say citizens, just normal citizens, and people who are always there, like farmers and people who are being the first to get affected by climate change, were there as well. We made sure that everyone is having the floor to speak, to address the issues they are facing, how we as youth can also collaborate and be more involved. So I would say it was just, to me, it was just me doing my duty as an activist and making sure that the others know as well, because we are seeing interest, we are seeing impact, we are seeing people wanting to do the same, and that's actually the reason why we are here as well, is to encourage each other that we still can do more, and trusting us does worth it. And yeah, there will be collaboration with Europe, Africa, the MENA region, and we will do great, because the upcoming COP is just in a few months, and we will do great. That's what I do believe in. Thank you so much again for the invitation. I hope I didn't speak too much.
No, all good.
Thank you.
You guys been really great as like speakers, respecting time. It's been wonderful, and I'm really looking forward now that we have like a good amount of time left to be in the breakouts for further discussion. So based on our kind of fairly small group, I would open up 2 breakout rooms. So there's going to be 2 of the speakers in each room, and for the rest of you, I will set it up so you could choose which room to join. And yeah, and then we can have, let's look at the time. Yeah, almost like 20 minutes in the breakout rooms for conversation, and then we'll come back to share some reflections and then close off the call together. So let me just set that all up, and I'll open the rooms. And maybe one more thing on a practical note. I will also, the slides that I've been using, I will share the link as well. And there are on, I think it's slide 14 and 15, there's also space if you want to take some notes of like an insight or a resource or something that comes up in your conversation that you feel would be valuable to harvest. You can take a note of this in your breakout room conversation. I'll just get the link to this. All right, and I'll open the rooms. You should be able to see the option to join a breakout room. And I've just put the names of the speakers, so please go where your name is, and then everybody else you can choose. And if you're having any issues with that, let me know. I can also help you move. And
I can't see it yet.
Yeah, same.
I can see it here.
So wait, I can also. So Nicola, do you know where you want to go?
No, you can put me wherever you like.
All right. How about Sarah, Duncan? Can you see it? Are you able to join? Interesting. All right. So I guess I can. Anybody has a preference of where to go?
I want to go with where Riccardo is.
Okay. So I'll put you with Riccardo. Anybody else? No, it doesn't matter. Okay. Then I'll just assign you. All right. Welcome back from the breakout conversations. I hope you had a good opportunity to ask questions, share more, go deeper, just connect and explore and learn from each other. For the rest, kind of 12 minutes that we have in our call together, I want to use for more exchange with all of us together. And I'm gonna kind of post 2 things here also in the chat. So this is guidance, but it's really this opportunity for us to kind of reflect and harvest a little bit together. So one question I have, mainly more for the speakers, but I'm also open if somebody feels really inspired to pick it up, is like, what inspiration and empowerment can you give to other people or other young people? So if you have a thought on that, go ahead. And the other thing is just for anyone and all of you, if there's something a person like specifically said or did that touched you or you really appreciate or it had value from our call so far together, to just name that, and we can kind of have that as a highlight and appreciation of what's been shared so far. And you can feel free to raise your hand and just speak, or if you prefer, you can also type something and share it with us in the chat, and we'll just have some minutes to kind of harvest together. what's been moving and being shared and discussed here. Yeah, Selma, please go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much for giving me the floor again. I think I'm taking over a lot, right? I don't know.
All
I'm way
good.
excited. I had a lot of sugar today. I think I really loved the group that I was with Merushe, of course. I had the pleasure to meet all of them, Nicola and Jane. I really loved what Nicola and Jane said, that of course we cannot just rely on youth, but of course we still need to take some actions as well. And that's, of course, something that both me and Merushe also agreed on, because everyone needs to do something. Of course, it's like everyone is concerned. When it comes to climate change, it's everyone's concern, everyone's responsibility. So we need to help in not ending this, because it's impossible now, unfortunately, but at least limiting the impact of this global concern. And I would say, just to answer the first question, because it really sparked my interest, what inspiration empowerments can you give to other young people? I think the picture that we need to leave as youth and activists, because they have to see us trying, they have to see us crying and just being angry when it comes to not seeing things happening on the way we want it to see, because we are facing a lot as a generation. It's not like the past one. It's not like how the generation that is leading now, how they live their life. It's so different, and we are being affected a lot. And I hope the upcoming generation can see this and can get inspired instead of disappointed, because everyone is really concerned to take actions. And I hope we can leave that touch and that inspiration and that impact so that they can do the same. So yeah.
Thank you for those words. Anyone else? Both? Yeah, Yumna, please.
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay, cool. I just wanted to highlight a lot of what Riccardo was talking about in our group, which is the importance of intergenerational conversations. I just absolutely loved his points, and I'm going to call on him to elaborate more on that with the wider group. But it was mainly about how can we get youngsters and elders in the same room, and even if they have the same vision, the same goal, there shouldn't be tension of them working together and collaborating on certain projects and initiatives. And I find that there isn't enough opportunities out there for young people and elders to connect, especially if elders have that vision and that wisdom that can really inspire and help young people move forward with their projects and their initiatives. So that was a really important point that Riccardo mentioned, and I love talking with my group more about that. So yeah.
You want to follow up on this, Ricky?
Connect that. So yeah, what we discussed before was that the more you know yourself and your talents and your weaknesses, the best you can be as part of a group, and then the group can be more efficient and fun. And so the first step is knowing your talents, and the second step is recognizing that somebody may have other complementary talents, and then acting on what you can best bring instead of what gives the highest rank or whatever within social dynamics. And this would allow for youth to bring their talents, elders to bring their knowledge and talents, and have a perfect match. But as long as we don't know ourselves, or we think that one is better than the other, when we find in intergenerational dialogue, we have issues. So my point is for everybody, not just for youth, the more you know yourself and the more you realize that that's the truth and that's what you're dealing with, the better you can be part of a group instead of trying to be something not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I don't know, Nicola, agreed, Duncan? Any reflections? Anything you want to share?
Laura, yeah, I would like to share too.
Yeah, go ahead.
On when you read about stories of young activists, and the initiatives they are let's say undertaking all over the world, it's like something distant and cold, and you just read it and you're like, yeah, okay, but then when you hear it, from those activists themselves, fills you with inspiration and hope that soon things will turn on the right direction. Because yeah, in our group, I was speaking about the fact that perhaps change is not going to happen, in a year, 2 or 3, but yeah, it will happen after a decade or 2. So at some points, I'm having this like eco anxiety, and at some point also I'm pessimistic, and I feel that the awareness rate, on climate issues and climate change is not actually where it should be. But thanks and owing to this young activists. Okay, I am young also, but when I hear Selma, for instance, the passion when she speaks, it's like really, it's like, I don't know, it's like, it's like a blossom, it's really inspiring.
Same
And,
goes for you.
because
You're
yeah,
part of our generation. Stop saying that.
I am, of course I am, but still, yeah. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share. And yeah, I think that the others are also doing a great job. Same thing goes for them also. Applauses.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Anybody else has some final reflection? Otherwise, I will also post a link to another mentee for a bit of harvest. But we have space for one more voice. Somebody wants? Yes. Go ahead, Nicola.
I'd like to thank everyone, but I also feel since the start of this, when I was speaking to Selma in a breakout group about bravery of young activists, and then when Yumna was talking at the start about the education system, why isn't climate justice in every lesson? And so the word that's been in my head then the whole way through is it's a phrase called cognitive dissonance, when what you see and you want and believe is completely different to what's actually happening. And the sort of vision of the world I want in my head, I'm sure, is quite similar to the visions of everybody else in this call, but it's not the vision that is held by most policymakers or people who are in charge of the education system or all the other systems and our food systems. So I suppose I'm just feeling this sense of one of the biggest jobs we all have, old and young, is to try to keep speaking up for the vision, and that it is actually very difficult. It's a brave thing to do, particularly in some countries in the world where there's some restrictions. It's a very brave thing to do. And yeah, so I suppose that's what I'm left with, this sort of sense of that's the biggest thing we can all do, old and young, is keep trying to paint the picture of this vision and see how many people we can bring along with us.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And I posted the link also in the chat. So this is an opportunity just to also capture in writing something important that you learned today. And you can just, put in a few words or a short description there as a first reflective question. And then if you continue, there's also a second one. A second question about any commitment or action step that you will take moving forward. Maybe this conversation has sparked something, or maybe you want to reaffirm something that you're already engaged in. So this could be, a new or an ongoing commitment or action that you're willing to take. I'll give you all a minute or two, and then we can look at the results and use that as a way to wrap up together. All right. Maybe half a minute more for things to come in and to share. Both of the questions. All right, let me share my screen so we can look at this together. Mm.
Laura, are we seeing the screen now?
No,
Okay.
I had to reload it to get the results. I'm going to share it in a moment once it's actually there. Just taking a while for the website to load with Zoom and everything else going on. But I should be able to share it in a moment with you. All right, so something we all learned today about supporting each other. Bravery makes miracles. Young change makers, seeking age diversity, knowing yourself, that there is hope. It's not too late to make change. It's about small actions, connecting better, listening to youth, permaculture, solidarity, collaboration, knowing your talents, connecting, spreading awareness, agreement on purpose, and ethical relationships. That sounds rich. Thank you all for putting this together. I feel this is quite a beautiful kind of snapshot of a lot of the conversations we've been having. And let's see, get the second slide up as well. Okay, so I see learning together, connecting more with youth and organizations, keep supporting activists in their work, spaces for intergenerational exchange, on inner transition, and support for each other. Trying to find ways to make the vision for a better world possible, opportunities to work with young people, campaigns and marches, seeking group common purpose, learn and share about different innovative group efforts towards sustainability, and also an action step to reflect on my strengths and the best way to use them to take action and communicate this to others. All right, that's a beautiful summary of some of the commitments and actions that people feel inspired to take. I'll stop my screen share here. So we can take this moment, you can unmute yourself and just take this moment to look at each other, say thank you and goodbye. And yeah, big thank you from my side for all of your presence and participation. It's been very rich and energizing. I've enjoyed it, and I wish you a lot of that good energy and courage and commitment and connections all moving forward after this call and into anything and everything that you're working on, and to feel some sense of this community, what I've also asked in the little exercises that we did, a sense of the community also across countries and organizations of working together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank
Good
you,
luck.
Laura.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.